Islam, MOORS. Yeah. So like I was touching on some things, Divine Minister Khufu, Terry Carlton Bay. The fact that, to the best of my knowledge, my erudite knowledge, not through my education, to the best of my knowledge, my studies and whatnot, erudite. Listening to people like Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey, Queen Valara Renita El Bey, which I told you how to push it. It's Katani. We used to call it just Queen and Queen Lactitia. Now she has a long name. She is a grand like matriarch of a clan / tribe, right? Definitely Creek Muskogee, I think. Yamasi Creek Muskogee. She started, I think, if I'm not mistaken, with the Nuwaubian nation of Moors. And she studied and studied and studied. She was finished studying, she began to study herself. So that was my first raw, uncut information coming, like Adam Chamber type level information. Queen Valara Renita El Bey, by way of HawtyyyReddd is Katani, and she was married at the time to King Coconut, untouchable, down south, I think Gould. So, Islam MOORS, much thanks to Queen HawtyyyReddd is Katani. She's originally, I think, from Harlem, New York. And I said in an old post, which might have been deleted, I did a lot of lives, they deleted a lot of lives, Facebook. I said it's sad that I was born in the Nation of Islam. Mars 29, Miami Mars 29. Nation of Islam. And I was, put it like that, I was born in 73. The year was later in 2014 when the sister, wow, so I'm like 27 years old plus 14 years. Because I just said in a recent post I was 27, if I'm not mistaken, in the year 2000. That sounds wrong. I don't want to think. I don't want to think because I'm thinking about something else. I don't want to do the math. It's going to throw me off. It was 2014, I was born in 73, do the math. Because it's something I haven't said yet, I might forget. It's the whole reason why I've been pressing record. I'm going to try to say that now. I was listening to Chief Rod Pontiac last night, right? Chief Rod Pontiac, last night. Young L, TV, never have it been made so clear. And they were building. Chief Rod was spitting fire. And I'm only halfway through with that particular publication. I had to stop that. I'm still not finished. I think I shared it to my Facebook page. And I remarked to myself, as I have been doing quite frequently, more so the last 2 or 3 years, how I remarked to myself, there's so much to say. I'm still making this point, but I'm gonna say this. Because another publication just came out with Chief Rod. He made the point. And I crossed my heart swell to not die, because I ain't lying anyway, so why should I die? So anyway, that I used to say years ago, you see the signatures on there, right? You see the names. You see the names that sound or talk to this or whatever, Arabic and Hebrew and stuff. So I say, well, who authorized these few people to represent Maghrib al-Aqsa? We used to have trees that we actually lived in that was so big around and went so far up in the sky, it's not even funny. Like, you think about skyscrapers. They can house a lot of people within a small square footage of area because it's going that way in the air with the indoor garages and all that. So think about that. We got underground labyrinth. So it's not just what's above the ground, it's also what's underground. You can fit a lot of people on this geological half of the sphere called the Western Hemisphere. How did these people get to be the people? Like, where did they come from? Like, was it a collection of, because I remember I.S.L.A.M was talking about the Eagle Bowl Treaty and all that type of stuff, Iroquois Confederation. So I was like, well, maybe it was vast swaths of land where big collection of tribes and clans had voted some person for that area, and then you come up with like 8, 5, or something like that represent those areas. Say, okay, we voted, tallied up the votes, blase squaze, and addressed these issues, and that region came to this conclusion, this consensus and whatnot. I'm asking now, who the F? Because I'm trying to figure out. I'm already hearing Grand Shaking them talk about dirty more, up until this day. Bad paperwork and all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, okay, and the dirty more that came from the Eastern Hemisphere. Before I even start listening, Chief Rod, you will hear certain people touch on that, right? I see the Dukatir go in. He says things I wouldn't say because he has that scholarship to support what he's saying. I'm still crawling up out of I'm black and I'm proud, Pan-Africanism, the conscious community. I got a lot of my information from them as I was growing up. Not much reading, because I knew that a publication is just that. I knew a publication had to go through the you-know-who's with all the juice and the power and the pull to say what gets redacted, what gets censored, what goes, or else they say we'll find another publication company. And if you really want to get that out there, some people, they got to do that for their college dissertation or whatnot, their degree and all that kind of stuff. So sometimes people are kind of forced to put together some hogwash to get a grade in school, to get a degree, a piece of paper, so they can beat the concrete, right, and go around here and knock on doors for a job. Water under the bridge, water over the dam. That's neither here nor there. We don't need that. We need useful knowledge. The Nation of Islam say useful knowledge. So now, I said that. One day I clicked. Some years go by, I hear Chief Rod not too long ago. He says that those, and anybody who can get in contact, know how to get in contact with Chief Rod, his Cashapp is Sick Ape, so you can send like $1 to his Cashapp. I think it's $IKAPE. You put a $IKAPE, not ICK. I think it's $IKAPE. I think. Just play around with that in Cashapp with $1 up there. You find something that you think is Chief Rod, you can send $1 and be like, in that little note, put your email or your phone number to initiate some type of correspondence. Because he can really, Chief Rod, he'll run through it just like that. If you got a YouTube channel, he'll be happy to be on your channel to be interviewed and question and answer type of thing, whatever, right? Because he could do it better than me. I wish I could remember exactly what he said. But what he's saying is, we never signed a treaty. The we are the majority of us over here. The majority of us over here had a problem with them because On OOOOOVER, the principal people, Lenape and all that, who were toward the East Coast, the majority really didn't want them here. They brought smallpox, possibly chicken pox, measles type thing, and when they were doing commerce, which is mainly why they have been allowed over here by those who did do treaties with them. It was a treaty of commerce. And they would do dirty things when they found out we did not have our immune system, wasn't used to the measles and smallpox and stuff like that, chickenpox. They would lace blankets with that. I learned this in the Nation of Islam. And they would sell that, basically give them away, because they know we would take them back to our villages and whatnot. We had pyramids and all that. When they first came here, we had all that, right? Intact, in effect, full effect. And people dropping like flies just from that alone. Now, I don't want to go too Nation of Islam on this because I want to add something to what you can get from your local mall. Matter of fact, 11 o'clock today, a lot of meetings start at 11 o'clock. If this is Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of meetings start at your local malls about 11 a.m. You can call and find out. You can go in there in person, live in person, right? You sign up for the class and all that if you're not ready to register and go in. But now, Chief Rod pointed out that that's really don't represent us over here as a whole. The indigo. Last night he pointed out also, oh man, it slipped my mind. I know what I want to say, but I can't say it verbatim. He pointed out also the Indian, it's called Indian something, because they called us Indian first. Not the Mongolian, not the Iron Cody and all that. It was indigo is close to ink, blue, black. So it was the so-called black people over here that they were attacking first, because we were the ones who actually are and still are first in line, first in time. What your ancient forefathers were then, you are now. That's not mine, is it? I don't think so. I don't know where that came from. So now, we did not sign those treaties. Some people did. And those are more toward what you call dirty Moors. Now, I'm trying not to go too much. It's a lot of detail to support what's being said and illustrate what's being said. But I want to stay with that main idea I'm really trying to bring home. Chief Rod pointed that out. Don't be fooled by the names, the Arabic names, the Hebrew names and all that. I saw Bacha. I think I saw Muhammad and whatnot. So I got happy. You know, because a lot of times they refer to the Treaty of 1787. But now he started talking about, oh, I hate it. I hate it. The Articles of Confederation last night when I was listening. We have to study that. People like me who have no clue right now. I can't quote. I can't go to a note right now. I couldn't even have the Articles of Confederation and go to the exact articles Chief Rod Pontiac is referring to. But in the Articles of Confederation, where you have more of your isonomy, where it lies and where they have to be, it's like stare decisis in the Supreme Court and whatnot. Stare decisis means it has been ruled even in their courtrooms where they are playing as judges, as attorneys, being magi's, magistrates, courtroom players, attorneys, at law, esquire. Right? While they're operating the venal policy, foreign colonial European occupation upon the land militarily in violation of international war law. All law, supreme law of the land, in violation of that. Now, he pointed that out. That's not really our treaty. We have some agreements with them. And the way Queen Valara, Renita El-Harabey pointed out to me, we exist in contracts. And primarily, their interest over here, which we allow, which we acquiesce to, which we did contract to, was them to do business, commerce upon the land. Chief Rod pointed out the UCC, which Queen Valara and Taj Tariq and a lot of other Moors, Father Hannibal Bey, a lot of them, they go to UCC, Jaguar, Toriana Obashago El, A lot of them deal with them UCC. Under Terry Carlton Bay, Divine Minister Khufu is Terry Carlton Bay. If I ever say Divine Minister Khufu, that is Terry Carlton Bay. The reason why I jumped on him like a hitchhiker on your sock, like a sticker bra on your sock, is because he is originally from Miami. Carroll City like type quote unquote area. And I was looking for somebody here because I was entrenched in Florida, South Florida, and wasn't trying to go anywhere else and relocate. I have a lot invested and I'm trying to get a return out that investment, right? Therefore and wherefore, when I came across Divine Minister Khufu, Terry Carlton Bay, that's who officially walked me through the process, quote unquote, of declaring and proclaiming my status, because up until then, even though I was sharing a lot of stuff and talking about it a lot, I really didn't know exactly how to do this and enforce this. I heard when Grand Sheikh Tariq Bey said that in international war court, by law, international law, galactic law, right? If you are going to have a city, or no, in this case, the world, the globe, but we're dealing with our jurisdiction, Maghreb al-Aqsa, the Western Hemisphere. If you're going to have a locality under siege, there should be vouchers. We shouldn't have to pay car note, mortgage, leases, even the food bill. Food, clothing, and shelter, that's a given. Under our divine law, that is a given. Because the way the matriarchies and even some patriarchy was set up, primarily matriarchy from my studies under Moorish Order of the Round Table, Clock of Destiny Moors, right? C.M. Bay, the Adam, one of the 5 Adam of Noble Jew Ali Prophet, the Prophet, Grand Sheikh Tariq Bey, the matriarchy. Now, this particular point I'm gonna make, I didn't get it straight from Grand Sheikh. I'm not gonna put that on Grand Sheikh. In my reading, trying to be erudite, I come across that in the matriarchy, if I as a man am a Comanche, for instance, quote unquote Comanche, and I come across an Apache woman, if I elope with this Apache woman, I become an Apache. She doesn't become a Comanche. I become, and my children become an Apache. I go to where her locality is. Therefore and wherefore, since we are first in line, first in time, the direct heirs of the land, air, water, space, sea, then therefore and wherefore, all I need is the skills I was raised with, and if I don't have skills or I'm short, her uncles and brothers and cousins and, you know, distant relatives and whatnot, and neighbors, other clansmen, whatever tribe, collection of clans and tribes are in that locality that they have treaties with and they interact with peacefully, they will lace me up with all the game I need. I will get the lumber I need, the rocks, the dirt, the herb, the plant life, the sea animal, sea creatures I need, the freshwater animal, whatever I need, they will allow me to interact with the environment and go procure that. Now, of course, they probably have some type of regulatory things in place, but on average, what can you do with 2 arms and 2 legs? How much can I haul? Because we had a practice of leaving the majority of the earth pristine so that our race and the animals and even the earth itself can last for eons and won't be depleted. We don't need much of what's here for it to do anything but be here. A tree. You can see a tree right. You can see audible. 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 A tree. I need that to be here. I don't have to use it for wood, for fire and all that. I need it though. Roots in the ground, sunlight, rain, fresh air. I need that to happen to as many trees as possible for my own good and for the animals and the rest of the trees. The more trees in the area, the more healthy. The less you need fans and air conditioners and stuff like that, because a breeze tend to stay constantly within a collection of trees. Once you get X amount or more, a breeze is more likely to come in there. When you deplete the area of grass, soil, trees, lay down asphalt, lay down concrete, that's where you have that blight. That's where you have that desert-like effect. And it's hot as HELL. You're more prone to strokes, heat strokes, heart attack, exhaustion. We've just had, I think in the state of Florida, and I think definitely in America, 4 athletes, young athletes, like college and high school level, grade level, die of exhaustion. I think one of those was a car accident, but the other 3 was heat exhaustion. And these people been doing this stuff like this, very healthy. So our old ways that we are slowly but surely going back to is the healing of the nations. You take the average list of ailments right now, and a lot of them kind of new to human race because we didn't have a lot of problems like that because we got things straight from the land. We learned how to preserve them in a healthy fashion and not have poisons laced in there claiming to be preservatives and this and that and the third. That was intentional, not by mistake. The Third World War, what Grand Sheikh talks about all the time, has been a silent war, probably into the 4th, 5th by now. A silent war, where things like that have been done. Playgrounds. I remember in the 90s, mid-90s, going into the late 90s, they had to remove playgrounds in Florida that had metal parts like monkey bars because the paint had a poison in it. And it had been proven that it got into the children's bloodstream and in adults. Because we'll get on, I was talking about Black Day the other day, Larry Stanley. We would work out, do pull-ups and dips and stuff like that, reverse curl, right, all that on the bars. They had poison in that. Back in the early 90s and in the 80s, they had to take toys off the shelf. Change the ingredients, or whatever you want to call it, of manufacturing the toys. Fisher-Price and that type of thing. Mattel, Tyco, all them, because it was poison. You know, a baby would put the suck on the car. Little car, the vroom, he'd be sucking on poison. Baby powder, Johnson & Johnson and all that, poison. So these are the silent wars. And this is where all this stuff coming up with somebody looking old as something archaeologists have done dug up. Walking around here. Ain't but in their 30s and 40s and 50s. Shrivel all up. Eyes yellow and red. And it's coming from the same stuff we grew up on. As a matter of fact, a lot of this we could pull off the tree right anywhere. In the 90s in Florida, the governor of that time, I forgot who it was. Almost said his name. Felipe Diaz had a rhyme about it. I met Felipe Diaz in Miami Lakes Tech, the television operation production class. Met his brother Frank. In that rhyme, he had something about that governor. Was it Al Gore or somebody? Some governor of Florida got together with whoever had Adam Putnam and Jeff Atwater, their jobs and all that. Whoever had Pam Bondi job at the time. Agriculture and all that. They got together and talked about citrus canker. Long story short, they came into people's yards and took trees. My father had a pink grapefruit tree at that. Very sweet. You didn't have to add no honey on top of nothing. Just eat it straight off the tree. Wash it off a little bit, right? And eat it. They came and took them. A lot of people yard, they took fruit trees. Mind you, a few years down the line, in the grocery stores that more people more forced to go to, because what's happening at the primary care, at the physician's office, they're telling them, you have diabetes, you have this and that and the third. So they give them a new dietary list after they had been giving them that old one with the lies on it. Tell them it's all right to have some alcohol, all right to have some hog and all this kind of stuff. And now they bad. Now they changed the list up. Now they done got them broke down. Cervical cancers, cancer of the uterus, uterine cancer, all this type of stuff. Then they give them a new list. Some of the things on the list is fruits and vegetables we used to grow right in the yard. But citrus canker, we had to take them out. But guess what happened? Wasn't nothing wrong with that fruit. That damn lie. You go in the store now, you gotta pay $1 million for non-GMO, right? That means genetically modified. I'm trying to get this right. Conventional means they put the, and that's tricky language, because conventional, if you know anything about the English language, you would think, oh, this is the stuff that we grew up on. This conventional. Without the pet, that's a lie. That's the stuff with the pesticides and all that. It's unconventional. It's really unconventional, but they call it conventional. The other term they use is the stuff that are organic. So if you don't study and fellowship, which a lot of us fell out of because they broke up the community, divide and conquer, right? Especially in the 80s on to now. A lot of us don't fellowship the way we used to. And they have been making changes since back then. So when we grew up was all right. It was more and more healthy than it is now. We go pick it up. Oh, I know how to do this. I got a little overweight. My doctor said I was pre-diabetic. Okay, I know what to do. I'm gonna get some watermelon. Yeah, seedless. I'm gonna go get some uvas. Con semilla sin semilla. See, that's GMO. No seeds in it. You got chicken. Clone. Might not even be that. Especially when it's prepared already in the frozen food section, in the shelf and all that. You know, tell them what the hell that shit is. They just stopped somebody trying to get through the airport with some bush meat. And you know where they stopped and found that? There's plenty more of that coming in. They take that, strip it, smoke it, whatever they do, prepare it, cook it. Now that's a Jamaican patty, perhaps. That's an empanada, perhaps somebody baked it. Some of these foreign countries, they actually eat stuff like that. Not to knock them and all that, but they if you don't want to, you better be careful about prepared meats. Then you gotta be careful about butchered meat. You can butcher a lot of organisms and just take a slice of something and lay it out and call it something. Take this wrist and cut a bone, put it in some meat and say that's a T-bone or some oxtail, something like that. With a little bone up in there, some red meat. You know, tell them what you're eating. So all this and see, eating human flesh, it breaks you down, especially when you get weaned off of it. Now, I'm not the one to say, because I don't know them personally. I haven't been all in their face in real life. You know, a lot of times you see them on TV, they got makeup and all type of hairstyle and wigs and all that kind of stuff. So I haven't seen them, but I noticed a lot of the more recent photos of the ones who kind of got in some trouble or something. You notice a age look just out the blue, like, wait a minute, I never saw him look or her looking that age, ever. You know, and COVID-19, many of those in the know were saying that what the devil made for bad, God meant for good. The COVID-19 thing is one thing, okay? The vaccine is one thing, okay? The shutdown, that's one thing. But in the action, you had a rounding up of people who were being placed on house arrest and under investigation for being connected to the Epstein list, one. And not necessarily, when we see, sometimes we say Epstein list, don't just focus on if they was to come out with the list. Don't just focus on that. Focus on the lifestyle, the culture of that dark priesthood. That's a global phenomenon. That's a global thing. Just like the Wayne Williams case was bigger than Wayne Williams, this Epstein list is bigger than Epstein, and everybody on that list. And that's something they inherited. I made a post recently when I said another Ep was about 10 years old when the Black Panther was just jumping off and catching all that hell in the 60s. He was a jet. But he went to college and all that. In the next decade, should be wait a minute. The 70s, should be the 70s. By the time he got collegiate, he went to studying biology, right? And the effect of chemicals on the human body. He's a financier as well. One man is known to be quoted as saying he's a master manipulator. You put that together, that's a recipe for elite level status human trafficker, because the human body stinks more than any other living organism on this globe when it dies and decomposes. If you want to preserve that, you got, and it does so very fast, especially so-called the Al-Bayan, right? So-called white. They decompose even faster. If you notice, a lot of times a white person, so-called white, if they pass, the funeral is expeditiously done, because they got to do the embalming and all. They got to take that to the morgue and all, to do that to the mortician quick, or it's gonna fuck up the whole place for blocks. That stuff, human anatomy stinks when it decomposes. So this brother is studying how the effect of chemicals. I jumped to the conclusion myself, because they didn't say it expressly in Wikipedia. I said this brother probably studying how to preserve the human body. Because if you a human trafficker, ain't too many people that know lying like it's some Jordans, like it's a new PlayStation game or something like that, trying to get unalive and get themselves up to science or whatever y'all got on y'all mind. Pedivores, vampires, cannibals, you got cadavers, you got the people who want to splat. In Miami, we call it splat. Auto theft, we call it splat. You take it and you take it apart and you sell each part. You probably get along further doing that than that whole car intact, because it has traceable things on it, right? But people find out quicker, that's my car, or that's a police agency, that's a store. But if you take apart, right? Take it to the local used car part salesman. There you go. Same thing with the human body. This is the primary cause of because the dark priesthood is not new. The corruption of the Baphomet and the worship of Baal, the corruption of that. The same way Islam could be corrupted. One of the most purest religions in the world. But look at the 70-something sects that Prophet Muhammad I.S.L.A.M predicted. Isn't that more haram than halal? When they go to these extremes beyond the parameters of what the Prophet Muhammad I.S.L.A.M had prescribed for us. Shifa'un rahmatun, the prescription for healing and the mercy. That's not it. Around the world, what we are seeing, these different sects of Islam. Same thing with Baal, Shukr, and all these other deities that we find when we research. They started in divine. These are just depictions of phenomena in the environment, whether it be an animal, something metaphysical or physical, right? That has qualities that carry certain aspects that you can bring to a person's mind so that you can imprint the mind the concept you're trying to get them to learn and remember and start to apply to their lives. So you take Hukupta, which a lot of us will start when we first go into esoteric things. These are the things that we're introduced to, right? You might have grew up with somebody doing voodoo, right? With Shango, right? Oh yeah, Elegba and all them, right? Or you might go into Hikupta with Ma'ad, people like that. Mut, warrior goddess Mut, Isis, or Saw, or Set, Heru, all that. So in that glyph, when you start studying just one glyph, you'll see how you even break that down. The Av-Ra, the Av-Heru, right? Av-Re, Av the Falcon. You can build on that until you exhaust pages and pages, and then you have to go somewhere to find out what you haven't came across yourself. It's that much science and value in the symbology. They were preserving ideas so that any teacher or practitioner can take that and go put it in effect, put it to use, and also teach. So that someone will always be alive on the earth plane, on Gaia Earth, to help people, heal people, and do whatever they need to do with the sciences and the technology. Right? So now Chief Rod pointed that out. I heard Brad Jordan say that one time. We never signed no peace treaty. You know, Texas is the Lone Star State. You start to study the history of Texas. And you see it's right there by what's now on the current map that's upside down, Medico. The brother Young L, I think, or another brother, Enrod, pointed out that Medico was all that. But here's where we got to be careful. Current events. Bring them more home, make it more relevant. We got to be careful about this administration and what they're doing right now. U.S. President of the United States of America is an Israeli-based CEO, a CEO of an Israeli-based company. But he is not the head honcho. It's a lot of people, more than 17 people behind the scene, if I remember to quote Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey correctly, that sign off, then the next one sign off, then the next one. It has to go through a chain of command that they don't talk about with us. They keep us with the Muppet Show, the puppet show. And what the devil meant for bad, God meant for good. The devil's world is going out. What our leaders, scholars are telling us and trying to explain to us that don't get caught up in that life we was forced to live in the rat race, the matrix, the rat race, right? The illusion, the smoke and mirrors. That's something we want to let go. We are panicking because many of us have never been trained to do for self. One of the main tasks, Elijah Poole Bey, also known as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, has been preaching since he learned from Master Fard Muhammad and the Prophet Noble Jew Ali. He was preaching at a time when it really wasn't that much of a problem because a lot of autochthonous people around the earth had land. They did farm. But the silent wars, all the murders, all the land grab, eminent domain, all the different tactics they use to take out of the hands of the autochthonous people who had superior jurisdiction on land, air, water, sea, space. Led us up to this point right now, where many of us don't have any more that we know of from word of mouth. Auntie, grandmama, great-grandmama, somebody, mama, daddy, cousin will tell us, well, you got land somewhere. And that land is a specific place, a specific amount of acres, right? Has a specific history in relation to your family, your clan, your crest. Many of us don't know that. I met a sister, she might not want her name said, and I could say something about her brothers, but they might not want me saying that. But they're very influential people around my age, and her father left her some property. He had other children by other women. They didn't get it. So this is a recipe for disaster that we have been repeating all too often, because that's too much responsibility for one person, especially when they're not erudite, when they're still a minor in the mind. They have not been raised up to a living perpendicular, so that when they're looking down, they're looking at the perfect point of a square, quote unquote. They have not been taught how to be a sovereign. I touched on the fact we can't sell land, so that's a lie. Louisiana Purchase, that's a lie. They bought it for trinkets, that's a lie. And that deal probably went down, and I might have heard or see somebody say this. That deal might have went down to those people they described, the Mongolian, that we allowed to squat here, who came to be native by the time they came on under the Bulla by 1492, 1500 and on. You had people who had just not too long came, but had been here for, I would argue, a few generations or so. But not the old Mac and whatnot. That's all talkiness. So when we did, you did, when we actually take a backhoe or shovel and we go into the ground, 15, 20, 40, 80, 100, 200, 300 feet, what do we find on Easter Island when they used to tell it was just heads? They probably already knew when they were telling us that in school. Those heads are attached to bodies. Easter Island heads. You dig down in the Yucatan, what they call Central America, South America, you find Olmec head. That's the big old head that look just like Lights Out Tony James. Anybody know that boxer? Lights Out Tony James? Did your boy like this after he did it and did his signature move? Marked him and got knocked out and lost that fight. Lights Out Tony James. Looks just like that Olmec head. The average Olmec head. He looked just like it. The nose, the lips, the eyes, the cheekbones. Yeah. Nowhere do you find that doctored up, supposedly historical account, illustrations, paintings, busts, carving of somebody with that alkaline nose, thin lips, light skin, as close to an Albion they can get it. Nowhere do you find it. But something that's above ground. In the schools and whatnot. Now, I meant to snap when I turned this on, but I wanted to have it substantiated. And I started sounding like a stark raving mad man who doesn't know anything about what he's talking about, because they're going to criminalize what I say. Chief Rod pointed out the average game in Midgard, North America. Not to say it doesn't apply elsewhere, but we're going to deal with North America. It's crucial that we get our thing together. We need to deal with our home before we go outside talking about doing anything that's our problem already. Going outside the home, helping everybody. We're spreading ourselves too thin. Burning our candles at both ends. Right? Burning the midnight oil. Worrying about all these other people. They ain't worrying about us. They come over here and get white status. Don't even tell us what that means. But when they do the census, it's tricked up because so many people, jet black from Africa and all these other places, done put on an immigration thing when they are allowed to immigrate. white. That way they can have majority and they can say, okay, to do the Republican and Democrat thing and all this kind of thing, and you feel powerless and you say, well, ain't no black people apathetic, they don't go out and vote, they're not doing it. A lot of melanated people who are visibly not a so-called white person, they are. But on the books, they listed as white. That's why. Just like they moved the line of demarcation I was talking about. Within the parishes, the municipalities, the counties, the cities, the unincorporated this and that, when they build up a new area out of the sticks and the swamps or whatever. They take that line and, oh, okay, we're going to go around it because a lot of melanated people, they call themselves black or possibly Asian or something. You take it over here what all these people call themselves Latino, Hispanic. See, that's just get the numbers up. They don't give a you know what about their own. And they're gonna cherry pick out of that group to see who get favored. And when you're talking about the dark priesthood, what you gotta do to get them favors, you probably don't want the favor when you find out what you gotta do to be favored. But I say, now that I said all I did say, and it's going into an hour, I don't like to keep you long. It's hard to get it. I don't have my notes. I'm not saying my note will help me a lot. I listen to current publications. Tari Reed Bay come on House of Real Awakening Mind. I try to jump on like about that Friday. I think he do about Friday. Right? Viernes. It's about it, nigga, Viernes. That day I could do my Vianas Jiu-Jitsu on Viernes. Go post up at my local masjid. I might have to do it to you. Walk like a Muslim, talk like a Muslim, act like a Muslim, get beat black and blue by Muslim. Boy, I post up and shit. Get off on somebody, maybe, I don't know. Might get lucky. Get off on me. Most time the older elders, brother. I stand down then. Don't get my butt kicked. Stand down there. We got some mean, boy, don't let that age fool you. Don't let that weight and the overweightness or whatever you see. Skinny, fat, whatever, short. Don't let it fool you, boy. I ain't no fool. They tell me clap like a well-trained attack dog. No bug or bite. This I'm in a studio partition, ISO booth with a mic. And you might hear it. Might hear it then. Rapping, capping, trying to make some snaps, some money, some scraps. Right? Sell some CD, USB drives, whatnot. But you ain't finna have me like this. Ow, ooh, ow. Daddy. You ain't finna have me like that. I ain't doing it. I ain't giving nobody none of this. If he got what I got, no, I'm straight. And all y'all butt-breaking females, bougie, Baphomet, boule, right? Female. You can do this all day long. Right? I don't get to play with these. I don't get to get up and no. Nothing. You can do that all day long. Act like you don't see me. Don't speak. I just be celibate. Semen retention. Kundalini rise. Serpentine fire. That's all. That's what I need to do anyway. Be on point. This is not a play thing anyway. I just like to play. This is progenitarism. Progenition. Republic. That's what this is. To raise them up properly. Once we get them out, right? They say you're supposed to have live birth in the water. Right? Not laid back under them lights and stuff, them artificial lights. They say you're supposed to have live birth in the water. You keep that after birth and do something with it. I don't know the exact process. Right? And try to have the mother and the father there with the child from the time they come in, even before, really before you can talk to them while they're in here. Gestation period. You can do ABCs, 1, 2, 3, all the basics, and then they're gonna hear the adult conversations that you got, that the mother has to have. And the people that's around them gotta have. You might get a phone call on business. They go, uncle, oh no, talking about real estate. That baby hit all that. When they come into the world, that's why a lot of them learn to talk so fast. They been listening. That's why a lot of women tell a man once they get a certain month, 2, 3 months, no. Not only you might not hurt this baby, and you having a menage a trois, or a quad, it might be a twin or something, triplet, but also that baby can hear. And let the baby hear me in the throes of lust and all this freaky stuff you talking about and got the porno moving on. No. See, and that's why these women need to allow men to have more than one woman. And the only complaint is it wouldn't even exist if we would band together and take our land, our water, and sea back. Because fiat money has nothing on everything, ownership of everything that costs money. And it's also free. We make the decision. Who get to just go in the mulberry bush, pick some berries. Go snatch some fish. Go ahead. They try to, no, go ahead. That's how we did them when them bastards first got over here. Matter of fact, they couldn't even hardly do it. They were so tired, sickly. We had to nurse them back to health. When they on the eastern seaboard, right? Shipwreck, all that. We had to nurse them back to health. And we had to wait on them hand and foot because we couldn't have let them go out there and get probably took by a mountain lion or some jive. Eastern seaboard, we got bears, pumas, cougars, we got all that. Crocodiles, gators, electric eels, sharks, and much more. Scorpions and all that stuff. We just chill. Nurse them back to health. But once we find out those who want to stay here and live here and colonize, they had to learn that from us because every different part of the globe brings its own challenges when it comes to agriculture and whatnot, hunting and whatnot. You need a guide. You need scientists that know what this is about in this particular area. We did that. We held their hand. We made love to them. I'm messing up the road. Had children. Now, that makes the child definitely one of us. They're gonna be taken in as one. That's one of the main reasons what they manipulated that paradigm. Once we start to mix with them and have children with them, because you're gonna have sympathizers to that side. That's my mama, that's my daddy, that's my grandparent. I'm not gonna let you, and they've been raised by us and them. So back then, you didn't have the average, everyday Frederick T.D.J. John D. Rockefeller public school, college, university, right? You had erudite. They learned how to actually hunt, how to defend themselves, how to build, and so they could have a majority consensus vote in a certain area, and that becomes enemy combatant once they start doing divide and conquer. Ralph Smith, John Smith, if I'm quoting this right, from my taking dictation from Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey. Mataoka, Pocahontas. The males tried to protect her. They didn't like them guys. Mataoka, Pocahontas, she still dealt with them. She ended up thrown like in the River Thames, somewhere over there in like England. I think it was I.S.L.A.M, where they murdered her. But they got a child from her, sired by one of those two. Now they can come back over here diplomatically, right? as ambassadors and diplomats or whatever, and through that child, find all type of sympathizers that will support that child from the Western Hemisphere. Bring with them those who signed the secret treaty of Verona out of Spain, Portugal, France, England, and whatnot. Now he has standing armies, navies on his side. Whichever one, John Smith, John Ralph, and whoever they compatriots, compadres can get to go along with the scheme of divide and conquer and further colonization by force, foreign colonial European military occupation. The venal policy. Read the first papal bull. Palacio is a key name. I forget the Pope's name. I forget the year. Read that first papal bull. It got to be sometime around 1492 or prior. Roman Curia, Dum Diversis, Interconservative Divino Policy. Those type of bulla was being rolled up around that time when the scribe, I can't remember his name, he bust out laughing. He was laughing so loud you could hear him all through the castle, wherever he was at. It was ludicrous. It was preposterous. Right? Like Al Capone said in the movie, this is preposterous. And they eventually got Al Capone. And guess where he was from? To be in the mob, you gotta be what? Sicilian parent on both sides, maternal and paternal. Right? Sicilian, full blood. Mafia. From the best of my studies, I think he was both sides Sicilian. That's from the Vatican right there. Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Italy is the country, Rome is the city, Vatican City is in Rome. Sicily is not far. Or it's either in Rome or not far from Rome. And look what happened to him. They grew up here. I don't know if they immigrated or they were born here, but they did it. Because what was happening, the mafia and outfits like that, even if they did have connects within the Roman Catholic Church, the nature of the beast, of the black priesthood, the oppression is so great that many times even their own have to buck. They got to fight back. It's too oppressive. They find themselves fighting for certain rights and stuff. Now they find themselves on the other opposite side of what we call the law, right? And I just quoted it. I even quoted some of this stuff. Chief Rob was just saying it last night. It had something to do with law. And I won't sit here for 20, 30 minutes trying to remember that. But he went into the Articles of Confederation and how they were doing the Indian Patrol or whatever, which became the Slave Patrol, which ended up the gangs of New York Police Department and the penal system in the jail and the penal system in the court system and all that, which that's going to really be the foundation of the stock market. Wall Street was this. Where you standing up as a captive. And a lot of them were kind of like this too. Buy and all the way, you know what? Child, honey, like that. So you standing on the auction block like this, and they fondling here, groping here. Some of that is for personal or commercial sexual pleasure. Male whore or female, right? Sex worker. Then you had work in the field and all that other stuff. We were very highly skilled. Intellectual properties, all that there. Under threat, duress, and coercion. Threat, duress, and coercion. Because they strange fruit, they hanging them, drawed and quartered, tarred and feathered, and whatnot. In the eye like Willie Lynch tactics. Willie Lynch. Study Willie Lynch, W-I-L-L-I-E, space, capital L-Y-N-C-H, that's Willie Lynch. He put together a manual, buck breaking like type manual. I don't remember seeing any type of stuff in there, but it was about instilling fear in the hearts of the autochthonous people over here, so they wouldn't fight for what was theirs. By murdering the biggest, strongest one you can find right in their face. Maybe they would hesitate to buck, break the chain, run off with Harriet Tubman somebody, right? That type of tactic. Psyop. Psychologically manipulating you through fear and whatnot. Now, I pretty much made that point. And I couldn't get the spirit part of what I was saying. I couldn't get, but I did something actually better. And I called out the name Queen Valara, Anita Harbe, Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey, Queen HawtyyyReddd Iskatani. She's actually one of my Facebook friends, I think on both Facebook pages. The old one I don't have control over, the new one I have control over. And Chief Rod Pontiac, I mentioned City Duke of Tears, Queen Gordoba Ella. And I didn't say anything about Dane Calloway, but I thought about it. But it's 2 minutes, I thought about a lot of people. It's 2 minute thoughts racing through my head. Hakeem Bey, I could have quoted a lot of them. But it's like I can't say but one word at a time. And there's a lot of phrases and paragraphs and words and whatnot trying to jump out because it's all related to what I'm saying, right? And it's best to do that for a person like me because I have not done a lot of boots on the ground research. Man, Dane Calloway done went to actual grave sites where all his family buried at. See, this type of things we have to do when we try not to go there. You know, with 6'8", Chief Rod said it was coming to that time where his clan and some other clan, they're going to have to put some force, put some foot in some butt. But we've been trying to do it civil. Civics. Right? The most honorable Elijah Muhammad is quoted to have said, we can do this without a drop of blood. We can sit ourselves in heaven overnight. That's most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And being an adept of Noble Drew Ali, once you start to figure out what Noble Drew Ali was teaching them, you can see why he said that. And what was going through his mind, the type of thing that was going through his mind, right? But we have a problem we need to solve. The misguided, the groping in the dark, people like me. When I met Bloodchild, I was dealing heavily with Islam, the 5 pillars. Ahmad Didat publication, stuff like that. And I made up this group called Seekers of Light. As bad as I want to give light, I got to find it first. So first we have to study. Before I can be a chief, I got to be an Indian. No good chief, for the most part, was a bad or sorry Indian. But when he was born, somebody was chief. He was a good Indian. So excellent that come a time, de jure office, voted in office would be chief. So I had to stay in my place, stay in my lane, and be honest with the whole thing. Be real with the whole thing. As bad as I want to do it, I can't. I had to be supportive in some type of way, but I had to study. Study to show thyself approval. That's a command to everybody who's not messed up in the mind, right? Study. Study to show thyself approval. So I did drop those names, and that's very important. That's very key to what I'm talking about. Because I can rant and rave all I want. But it's going to come a time we have to take instruction. Because the reset will be here. In effect, the republic will be here. And now we got to definitely, we don't deserve to be in a rightly regulated populace, right, locality, rightly governed, de jure, and end up at the gallows, end up with our hand cut off, head cut off, after going through what we went through. But we got to humble ourselves and find out right from wrong. Live right. Love, truth, peace, freedom, justice. Love, truth, peace, freedom. I don't know about that justice. Love, truth, peace, freedom. I might be thinking about freedom, justice, equality. That's the Nation Islam. Have on the pack, Mazafar, Muhammad, stuff like that. Freedom, justice, equality. But love, truth, peace, freedom. 5-point stop. I forget. Love, truth, peace, freedom. Maybe justice. Right? We got to learn that. And seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. But there are certain things we know for a fact. We got to stop all this senseless, want to pull it out. Pop, 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 pop. Can't wait to pull it out. Soon we just got it. Ain't even really owned the gun in your entire life. Just got one. You can't wait to. Why? Come on now, let's remember it only holds so many. And in all actuality, in the real setting, I might not even be able to get it good for somebody. Bam, 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 bam. I'm after trying to get it up. Bam, 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 bam. Might hit myself, beat right in some of the worst places. By mistake. For what? And that's a good place to start because all that other stuff, a lot of times, that way in it. I mean, the smallest, slightest difference of opinions. You know, opposing, feelings. You hot today, I'm cold today, whatever, you know. Domestic violence, a lot of time, man, that's uncalled for. That's the last place. That's the place you're supposed to be studying. Not so much as teaching. If a person asks you, you can tell them. But you need it yourself, you need to be studying. A lot of time it puts you to sleep too. I think some of these books were written with spells so that when you read it, you're really doing some type of seance to put you to sleep, to keep you out of being literate and learning useful knowledge. Because I fall asleep too much. I said it might be some symbols and stuff arranged a certain way, and I'm saying and chanting this stuff, thinking I'm just reading, trying to learn, and then putting myself to sleep. Reading, studying takes a lot out of you. You need to rest properly. You need to eat properly, hydrate, and study as much as you can. If you start to engage in useful activities, first of all, your goals tend to, when you raise your vibration and start making more worthwhile goals, not just I want a cigarette, I want a joint, I want a drink, I can't wait till the weekend, I want to hear some music, I want to get wild, I want to have fun. That's cool, but it's not. We need goals, man, to say, man, I want to get out of this house or this apartment or whatever, these projects. And I don't want anybody who's here that brought me here, my parent or whoever, honor somebody, I don't want them to have to stay if they don't want to. And that's a goal. See, that's a good goal. We can't be tricked by the Pied Pipers of today, Bad Boy Records and Cash Money Records and what money? What's the name of the Lil Wayne thing? I forget. New Money and all that. We can't be tricked. Y.S.L., all that, by the Pied Pipers of today. What you need to do, young people who can read the news. Get the apps that come to your phone. When you forget about it, it come beep. Just like that inbox from your favorite social media app, somebody you trying to get to know in cyberspace who you don't even know, probably a scam or somebody. Forget them. Read the news. Most of these guys are making songs. Some are making real life mistakes, perhaps. If that's not a play. Some psyop, they on the populace that's tuning in to all these people. They're making big mistakes with their lives. And they're following patterns of people who are actually scientists. Here. Not necessarily a degree from college, but they were very smart. And what we call G code is still that. But over time, You have to modify that. Common sense tells you certain things that we were doing was because we actually outsmarted the local so-called authorities. That's why we went through the painstaking steps to do those things. But these days, they have the status and the apparatus, I like to say. They know that stuff. So you can't look at Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood, but it look like a lot of people listen to old albums from Spice One and Scarface and all these good hardcore rappers from back in the day and come off the porch, come out the house and actually do that. It's a new day and time. They have things in place to combat that. It's no longer smart. You can make the song, right? And you know, but don't keep it so real to the point you have to try to live like that this day and time. It's not even G no more. You just stupid. You played out. You washed up. You green to what's happening today on the other side of the chessboard. That's a pipeline to prison. See? Then you want to rush if you do make it. God bless the dead. 2 guys hijacked with Coral Gables, a UPS truck near a jewelry store they robbed. When the police got at them by Miramar Parkway, somewhere up in their county line between Dade County and Broward County, they disobeyed dispatch and the superior officers. They ran hot shots, rookies and stuff like that. Ran, pop, 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 pop. They killed the 2 robbers, alleged robbers. And the driver of the UPS truck, it was his first trip alone without a chaperone teaching them the ropes. It was his first solo trip. And I think another man got killed too, innocent bystander, in the car, in traffic. The traffic was backed up. Now, that defeats the purpose. Is what I'm saying. But if they had gotten away clean, some type of way, they messed them up. They don't know what, they don't know who it is. Right? Don't be one of those fools, jump out. Hopefully you know what to do before you. I ain't gonna say all that, because some of y'all deserve to get caught. But hopefully you don't jump out. And now before you know it, you gotta do it. Because you begging for it. With all that on you, people hungry, people starving, people desperate. Ask you know what? They are laying people off. You gotta read the news. You gotta read between the lines. When Trump started laying off people from the White House and places like this, government, you know what type of job that is? Them people probably juggling 5 or 6 different pieces of real estate in their own personal portfolio where they have family members living there because they got all this bank. They lose a job like that. You got so many people there up under that one breadwinner. Now they desperate. Now they doing fraud. Now they stealing. Now they doing G. And a lot of them green as hell. A lot of them really squares. But that's how much pressure I hear on people. Because the court system still going along as if this stuff not going on with the economy and all that. And they still gonna get you with them child neglect. HRS gonna take them children. Child placement gonna take them children. Or you might go to jail. Trying to look for it. Go in the place. Go talk to the manager in there. Leave the child in the car. It's hot. Somebody call the police. You in jail. The children go to HRS. Child placement. That's a legal human trafficking outfit. You got too many employees who work for them for decades, telling on them. That's a cover for human trafficking. They do the bare minimum to make it seem legit. And when ain't nobody looking, they doing their dirt. And you just giving your children to them and you going to prison. See? So if fool jump out here, get some type of lick, put all that jewelry on, now you got to pay the bodyguards. You want to be bad? Bring your homeboy. One of your homeboys done robbed you, probably killed you. See, you have, as a young man, you and your clique haven't experienced enough of life to test that bond. You not even smart enough to science of warfare. You don't know what they do in the U.S. military complex, and that jive ain't even foolproof. They'll still get hit by friendly fire. Y'all need to tighten up, become more erudite, study, study, study. Respect your elders, especially Grand Shaitan Tariq Bey, right? The Dean of Students, Lucius Bayeye, Minister Troy Bayeye, all them in that circle with most of y'all probably know Minister Louis Farrakhan. Y'all probably know him. Minister Louis Farrakhan, probably know Elijah Muhammad because of Malcolm X movie, if you even watch that, you know. And study, study, study. I share with y'all some stuff. I did more listening than reading, but now with the internet superhighway, we can get in more reading that we don't have to walk all the way to the library, probably get there, don't even find the right books and stuff. Now, if you know how to spell fairly well, even speak, some phones you can speak into, some apps, whatever, computers and stuff. If you can speak, slow down and try to articulate, enunciate. Be articulate and enunciate the words, slow, syllable by syllable, consonant by vowel by consonant, and that way the computer can hear you better, spell it better, and then go retrieve the information. If you need to get a GED and stuff like that, you got a girlfriend that's smart, get her to read to you. Read along so the words can become more and more familiar. In between sex sessions, your refractory period, you can keep it up so long, get off that Viagra and all that. Let it go limp. When you wake up from your snooze, young people, a lot of times, they don't even go to sleep. They can do that all day long. Ejaculation after ejaculation till you deplete it and still be going. Don't even realize how depleted you are because you that young and vibrant. In between them little romps, you got a literate. You got a literate girlfriend, right? When y'all put y'all clothes back on and stuff like that, all the literate people in the house, go sometime, man, instead of get on the computer. Look at somebody do their homework in the grade, just especially below, if you behind, especially somebody about 3-4 years behind you. Some of us need to go to remedial. I'm not ashamed to say it. When I helped my son, who's supposed to be my son, he just had a son. They had like a miscarriage or something, but he just had one. My mama just told me about it. He's a what? Might be a Virgo. He's supposed to be my grandson, Virgo. Got a nose look a lot like this one. Might be mine. The one supposed to be my son got a nose look a lot like this. Might be. Perhaps. Now, February 11, 2011 marked the last day. Prior to that, November, Coral Springs. He was in some condos. I'm broke, I ain't got no money. Locking it down record, still trying to groom me for Bad Boy and all that. The Rock and all that, so I can get and do all this and get up there and get a Grammy like Killer Mike. Let Killer Mike have it. I gotta do all that. I ain't got no money. I took some cottage rule or whatever, notebook paper, cut it up in rectangles, right? And started with 0 times 1. No, not 0. We don't have to do 0. We just tell them that. Any number multiplied by 0 is what that is. Any number multiplied by 1, what that is, right? So you start 1 times 1, 1 times 2, 1 times 3, right? Multiplication table. He was pretty much further than that, so we talked about that. I kind of got up there to where it's kind of more difficult we had to think about at that age. Even me, myself, shit. I started up in there and made multiplication tables, division tables. It had too much addition and subtraction. We talked about that. Oh, you got that? Okay, you work that out, right? Carry over and all that kind of stuff. We talked about that. We'll reframe, we'll go back. But multiplication table, I made flashcards. The answer is on the back. So I look at the question, give it to him, I see the answer right away. I don't have to interrupt his studies to study myself. We doing flashcards. This is one of the things he had to do when he came home, because he would come home and wouldn't clean up and his grade would fall in school. A little bit of disciplinary problem, not much, but it was enough for the teacher to be concerned. So we talked about that. Made a new regiment for him while I was there. His mother kept begging for me to stay longer and longer. And every time she would extend that invitation, I'd jump on. I had just did Peter Adrian, bald head Peter Adrian. Had me do 23 months. That day they came to lock me up in November of 2006. That man, Asher Frederick Moran, had just been with me. I'm walking down Biscayne with him on my shoulder and feet here. I hold his hands, he's sitting right here with his feet here, and I'm walking down Biscayne with him like this, right? Took him to USA Flea Market, where they still got the stuff for the children back then, the little circus, right? Packed the lunch, he over there crying, embarrassed me in public with a little bubble gum machine. I had to get ghetto bitch on this. Well, fuck, nigga. You got food right here. That shit ain't no good. Got dye in it. Got white sugar, white refined sugar. Gotta sound like a nation Muslim out there, man. You know what I'm saying? Because his mama raised him on that Kool-Aid and hog and all that dry. So every time he come around me, it's a little head button. I had just had a bout of that because she had to do something. So she dropped them off with me. She don't usually do that, but she dropped them off with me back then. 06, he was born in 01, do the math. 2006, he was born in 2001. I come back 2008, 9-ish, right? When this is going down. So February 11th, no, this 2010. Because February 11th, it should be February 11th, 2011. When his mom decided I could hit the road. We're going back to Dade now. So now, from November, what's the next month? December? January, February, yeah, all that, because the holiday. I came before Thanksgiving, she said, stay for Thanksgiving. I'm about to pack up and leave, stay for Christmas. And that's the holiday. Okay, stay for New Year. And then just stay. It got to be February 11th. But I couldn't, because I've been the court system. Then you got the Negroes in the street, butt breaking. That's all it is, that's all it been. Hazing, even on the streets. The gangsters. They're about the only ones who successfully hazed me with the court system and the gangs. They call it school of hard knocks. They were still doing their version of hazing, right? Nigga wasn't too much put his hands on me though. They knew better than that. Randolph and Gary White and Randolph Evans told them. Randolph White and Gary Evans. They probably got mad. Randolph Evans and Gary White. Randolph White and Gary Evans told them. I think Jimmy Mackey told them. I ain't gonna get in there, get in there another time. It's getting long, I'm about to close this off. So like I say, when you're with your family, your children, he is not your peer. But in this day and time, if anybody get it, he need to get more of that kind of yeah, dog, you know, kind of like vibe. You might not say that, but that when you feel like that, once you get around him and when he playing or something, what you playing with? You be a little child sometimes. Watch cartoons with him. You know, look at the storybook with him. Oh, I remember that nursery rhyme. You know, spoiler alert. You know, sing a little nursery rhyme and stuff. You know about how you turn your back, he looking at you. Oh, you know that? Yeah, I know that. I know stuff you don't know. Go to your mama house, grandma house, get that old jive. Right? And sing some of that to them. Send them little YouTube and stuff like that, but you grew up on. Born with that. Because it has been a war tactic against us to create what they call a generation gap. Throwing the football. Deion Sanders and Shador Sanders, what, Shiloh, the other, you know. Bomb. Right? And you learn. You're going to start getting better and better. But you got to pick up these other publications that's beyond them children, because you had to become erudite. And I need you. Because they ain't getting no younger. These boys got gray in their head and stuff like that. Right? That I study under. These men, some of them close to my age, I can say boys, but these men I study under, some of them old enough to be my father and uncle, a younger brother of my father and stuff like that. Grandfather, you know, some of that stuff is recorded. Dr. Henry Clark, Dr. Claude Anderson, Professor James Small, Dr. Amos Wilson. You got to study these people. I talked about Wilmot Blighted, Frederick Douglass. These are some people that had to fight to try to do what I'm talking about right now. Right? Well, people like W.E.B. Du Bois came along during the time of, definitely, if I'm not mistaken, Marcus Garvey and Prophet Noble Drew Ali around that time, if I'm not mistaken, W.E.B. Du Bois. He might have been, because I'm thinking, if I remember correctly, I just glanced at it the other day. Frederick Douglass supposed to have been older than that. I think he's like 100 years or something like that. 75 before Noble Drew Ali. I got to double check that. Don't quote me on that. But these are the people that toiled, labored tirelessly just so we can read and write under this foreign colonial European occupation, because this is where they got us at. We don't know our behind from a hole in the ground. And we have to do the work. Nobody's going to come save you. Nobody's going to hold your hand through this. Some people, it'll seem like it if you take the time out to listen to them. And you can't tell me Todd Grand Shake didn't hold my hand, or Sitter Took the Tear didn't hold my hand. I just got to take the initiative to take that extra step. Right? Take the note down. Go put in the search engine. Go see what type of publications I can find on it, that kind of thing. Go find more people who will speak on that outside that circle, especially close to me. So I say, active Moors, active more. Active Moors, more active. You have to be an active Moor. Can't nobody tell me I ain't strove to do that part. Jihad feasibility, fitna, striving. Now they can't tell me that I have not been combated against, warred against, because that's what I'm doing. I said in the last, and that right there is my argument. That right there, the fact that you were actually not slave time, not talking about all these historical accounts, right? What they did to Martin Luther King, what they did to Malcolm X, what they did to the Black Panther, integration, what that really was versus what they say it is, the 14th Amendment person, minority, blase squaze. No, we talking about today, last week, last month, last year, 3 years ago, Blue Door Management. We talking about all that. Because by the time these attacks got that much heightened, I'm already online like a traffic cop. Blow the whistle. Redirect and go that way. Roman Curia. Clock of Destiny Moors. Leave that bull jive alone. Go that way. I.S.L.A.M, Dugateers. Reginald Field Bay. Jaguar. Toriano Obashango L. Frederick Bean Bay. Carolina. Yeah. I'm doing that. Not trying to fleece people for fiat. Cashapp, Patreon, PayPal. No. Put something here. Because we got to roll up our sleeve, put some elbow grease in it, boots on the ground, stomp down, and get to work. And I was born for this. I fight for this. I die for this. It ain't nothing else to do. I'm signing off. I.S.L.A.M, MOORS.